Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast, where I encourage you in healthy mind, body, and spirit through my Sunday reset. Let's get into it. Hey, girl gang, and welcome back to another episode of Healthy by Heather Brown. I am so pumped today to welcome Brynn Snyder, who is the CEO of Slate, that's slateflosser.com, and is passionate about helping people with their oral health and has 5 kids, which I know all of them are probably gonna be like, wow, she's my hero already. So Brynn, tell us a little bit more just about you and your husband and how you got so passionate about oral health.
So I went to school for product design and I did an internship with Johnson & Johnson and I worked in their medical division. And that's when I realized like, oh my gosh, I can design products that help people with their health. Then my husband went to dental school and I had 5 kids. So I was like, I'm not going to work when he's out of school. And then we bought a dental practice and his front desk had placenta previa and I had to go in and start working because she went to the hospital. Sure. And when I started working there, I realized like no one knows anything about dentistry. Like the average consumer doesn't understand why we need to floss. They don't understand why pH matters. We don't understand why mouthwash can affect our mouth. And so when I started working there, I was like, we need people to know. And then Dr. Snyder, he felt a lot of people feel anxious at the dentist and he could feel their anxiety. And he was like, how could I get rid of that? If I could just get them to be focused on preventative dentistry instead of reactionary dentistry, I could make them love going to the dentist. So that was when he was like, if I could get people to floss, then they would like the dentist. So we decided to invent a product that helped people floss.
I love it so much. I'm like, that's so incredible. And you're right. So many people have anxiety around the dentist, which I mean, I understand if I had somebody drilling in my mouth and pulling teeth and all the things, like, I guess I would have trauma around that too. But I think also it's so interesting, Brynn, how that is where I feel like healthcare, well, I don't want to say healthcare, but I think a lot of like the Make America Healthy Again movement, it's like across the board, our culture is waking up more to preventative measures versus like, oh, well, now that it's already broken, how do we like nurse it back to health? So for people that are like, okay, I don't know anything about this. My husband will even tell you, he's going to be embarrassed that I said this on air, but it is what it is. I'm like, but he would say it. I think actually, he's like, I've never flossed and I've never had a cavity. And he was like, but you flossed and you have had a couple cavities. So is that just genetics or like, I'm kind of, just curious now that we're talking.
So bacteria is what is going to cause problems in your mouth. Well, the bacteria isn't the problem. The acid they produce is the problem. So bacteria is going to generally be genetic. But the thing is you can do so many things to combat that eventually it becomes a moot point. Your husband, does he go to the dentist every 6 months?
Oh, yeah. He has great teeth.
So like, I also don't have any cavity issues or gum disease issues, but I don't know which is it the chicken or the egg? Is it because I brush and floss? But we see is that patients, when they get older, if they don't floss, their gum disease gets pretty out of control typically. So he may be okay because he's 40, but when he's 50 or 60, flossing is going to need to become part of his habit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell him that. I'm going to be like, you just get ready. So I kind of want to lead off with a little bit of like a controversial, like poppy question for you, Brynn. Could your dental work be poisoning you?
So I agree and I disagree with this question. And I know that it is a very heated debate right now. I know lots of people who are like, okay, I have an amalgam. So that's when your tooth, if you look at it and you open your mouth, is going to be a silver filling. So it's not actual silver, it's amalgam, which contains mercury. So I am kind of in the middle of the spectrum when it comes to health. There are always people who want to do things one way and do another. I'm like, let's find the cost-effective solution. So is mercury good for you? Absolutely not. If you have an amalgam filling that's in your mouth and it's not causing your tooth to break, because they can, then I would leave it. But I would know a lot of people disagree and they'd say, get all that mercury out. What we found is that when it's not disturbed, it's not going to be leaking mercury. But if you disturb it by taking it out of your mouth, then when that process happens, you need to make sure your dentist is awesome and has some type of way to make sure that, like, there's ozone therapy, there's different types of things that they can use. So make sure the dentist who's taking out your amalgam is doing it properly. If you can afford to take the amalgam out, it also looks much prettier to have a composite filling. But if you open your mouth and you don't see silver, then you already have a composite filling. So you don't have to worry about having amalgam in your mouth.
Gotcha. I'm an 80s baby, so I think that I have probably 1 or 2 silver fillings, and then the rest are composite. I probably have like 4 or 5. That's terrible. But I had the worst teeth growing out. Like, oh my gosh, y'all, I won't even bore you with it. But Eric and I have always said our kids are screwed because we both had braces. He had a Herbst appliance. I mean, all the things. But anyway, so I guess if people are like, wait a minute, why are the fillings not good for me with the silver? So we talked about that they have, what did you just say? I'm blanking on the heavy metal.
Amalgam.
Mercury. Amalgam, yes. So how do those metals affect the body long term, and how can we safely detox from them?
Yes. So this is like up for debate. Some people feel like they are poisoning you and they are hurting you to just be in your mouth. What Dr. Snyder has noticed is he believes that that is not the case, that if you don't disturb them, they're not going to be hurting you. But amalgam is more dense than the tooth. So as you chew, it can crack the tooth. So there's other reasons why you also want it out. Ultimately, it's better than not having a tooth there. So I think that if you can afford to remove them, it is beneficial. But for someone like me, I wouldn't replace them until I needed work done on that tooth.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And when you're talking about, if you do need to have a dentist that knows that, you mentioned a resource before we started recording. Do you mind sharing what that was about finding like a holistic or functional dentist, I think you said?
Yeah, so I really like Ask the Dentist. He is a dentist who focuses on holistic practices. He has on his website a way to find holistic or functional dentists. So you can go there. Also, you can search for functional dentists in your area. So functional and holistic are pretty much the same word, just different ways to look it up.
Okay, thank you for sharing that resource. And then the next thing I would love to know from you is, what are some common dental practices that may not be in the best interest of patients' overall health, if there are any?
Okay, well, this is what if you're going to a dentist who isn't preventative focused, like that's rare. Most dentists became dentists because they love people and they want to help your oral health. So if you get the ick from your dentist, find a new one, because there are so many dentists who really care about doing things the right way. I would say, like, my husband would never, ever give someone an unneeded treatment. But there are dental chains or different things that have to hit quotas. So I personally like finding mom and pop dentists who can really, really help you in that area. But I think the one area that's hard is people say you can heal cavities on Instagram. We disagree and agree with this.
So, I was like, true or false? Can you heal cavities naturally?
So
wow, yeah.
Once it becomes a cavity, you cannot heal it. But there are signs of cavity creation. And so sometimes, I think it's like when they say you can heal a cavity, it's for, if a dentist is calling it a cavity, you have to drill and put a composite filling in there.
Okay.
But if it's at the start of a cavity, which is hard for a normal person to understand, and they're like, this is a watch area, that is where Nano Hydroxyapatite comes in. If you use a remineralizing agent, fluoride or Nano Hydroxyapatite are both remineralizing agents on those spots, then your enamel can build. So the cool thing about Nano Hydroxyapatite, there's a ton of it in your mouth already. That's what your teeth are made of. So your teeth have tiny little holes. And if you have hydroxyapatite, it's going to be the same size as what's already in your mouth. So you need Nano Hydroxyapatite. And it's smaller and it's going to go into the little holes and it's going to remineralize and make it a shield. So we want to make our teeth a shield and whole instead of having little holes in it. So the enamel is what we're trying to strengthen with remineralization. So I think
is that like what would be a brand name that people would look for? Like, I know I've seen, I think like Super Teeth, and there's some like man or woman's name I feel like I've seen on a toothpaste, and Wellness or any of those ones that have it in them.
So Fig, Boca, Super Teeth, Wellness, Dr. Jen's, those all have different amounts, different types of hydroxyapatite in them.
Okay.
So gotcha. There's a lot of new nano hydroxyapatite toothpastes coming out. They have less regulation than fluoride, and so it's easier for people to put them out. But because of that, there's less regulation, which means you might want to see, like Dr. Jen says, you need 10% nano hydroxyapatite in order for it to be remineralized. And so certain, like Boca only has 3%. Does it matter? It's hard. We're trying to figure out the science behind that. So I've used them all, and I'm like, I don't measure my teeth, so I don't know how much harder they're getting, but I do know that I've used them. When I go to the dentist, I get great feedback. And so I just make sure there are toothpastes that don't have fluoride or nano, and I would say stay away from those because you might as well just brush with water.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. I actually just quickly typed in ChatGPT and I asked, if you're looking for a fluoride-free toothpaste, what are some of the best ingredients to look for? And it said, help me pronounce it correctly. The short word is it N-HA. It's what you just said.
Yeah. So nano hydroxyapatite. And it took me like 2 months to figure out how to say that. So
you're making me feel better. Thank you. And it does say a natural mineral that remineralizes and strengthens tooth enamel, as often seen as a fluoride alternative. It also says xylitol, calcium carbonate, baking soda, which that's awesome because that's fairly affordable, coconut oil, often used in oil pulling, it says, activated charcoal, essential oils, aloe vera, calcium phosphate, and bentonite clay.
Okay, so there are some of those things people don't like charcoal toothpaste, a lot of dentists don't like because it's abrasive to your enamel. Essential oils is actually up for debate. You could ask the dentist, he has some stuff on that, but it's hard to know just what is proven and what can prove the test of time. But we do know that nanohydroxyapatite was used in Japan, used with astronauts. So it's been out there for a little longer. There's different types of nanohydroxyapatite, but overall, I feel like if you pick a toothpaste with nanohydroxyapatite, you're going to do well. I love Fig toothpaste, and I've tried Boca. I like them both. Risewell is another brand that is made by a dentist too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And for people
there's one other brand that I forgot to talk about that doesn't have nanohydroxyapatite, and I'm learning more. It's called Elemental. It has the calcium stuff in it, and I would love to educate people for a quick second on xylitol and why it's awesome.
Yes, please.
Can I do that? Okay.
Yeah, please.
So I like to do things that I try to get my kids would understand. So bacteria in your mouth are eating the sugars that are in your mouth, and then they are pooping out acid. And the acid is what's eating your teeth. So the cool thing about xylitol is it is a sugar that when the bacteria eats it, instead of pooping out acid, it gets a tummy ache and it dies. So whenever I get gum, I now use xylitol gum because I know that it is making the bacteria in my mouth have a stomach ache and die.
Oh, I love this. What xylitol gums do you like?
So there's a lot of different brands out there. I use Xylachew. It's made in Hayden, Idaho. So I know that it's close by and it's great. There's Happy People. There's like 10 different brands. My favorite is Xylachew, and I like the spearmint flavor.
Okay. Well, good to know. I'm like, these are such good practical tips. So while we were talking a little bit about toothpaste and specifics, now tell us a little bit about your Slate Flosser. And you were telling me that flosses can be bad for you, which I was like, what? So tell us more.
Okay. So this is like a hard part for me because I do not want to be fear mongering. Flossing is better than not flossing, but there are better flosses than other flosses. So we all know that there are plastics, PFAs in floss. That when they tell you to not use like Teflon pans anymore because those are the same thing that's on floss if you have a glide like floss. And so we made sure our floss is a woven floss. It doesn't have any of those chemicals on it. And there's 2 reasons we floss. Can you tell me maybe what you think they are?
Oh gosh, watch me make a complete idiot of myself. One, I think, is to dislodge food that's stuck or particles in between your teeth. That would be my assumption.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, great. One.
Ding, ding,
Go on. Yay. Let's see. The reason number 2, though, I don't know if I know. I really don't know.
So I would say most people do not know this. And this is actually the main reason we floss. It's because we want to stimulate the gums and disrupt the bacteria underneath our gums.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so there's a correct way to floss, and 90% of people don't do it. It's called like this. It's like the C shape or the Y. So we made it so that you don't have to do either one of those. But I'm going to show. Are people watching this? So I can show.
I'll be doing reels. So if you want me to include it in the reel, then I can.
Okay. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the correct way, the C shape. So you want to grab the gum line and go all the way up. You're going to feel like, whoa, I'm going way high, but you're not. So you go up and you go all the way up, and then you go down and you're going to go to the other side. So you want to scrape all the sides of the tooth.
Okay.
But what we realized is little tiny kid hands or big man hands or old people hands, they couldn't do that. So we invented these little triangles. We call them gum sweeps, but they're like gum brushes, and they go in and they stimulate the gums for you. And that's what those sonic vibrations are. So you turn on our product and then you roll in and you go side to side. And those triangles go underneath the gum line and they massage and stimulate your gums. So 50% of Americans have gum disease when they're 30. 70% when they're 60.
Oh my gosh.
And if you have gum disease for more than 5 years, you're 70% more likely to have dementia.
What? Oh my gosh. So the way that we prevent that, though, is by flossing properly, though, right?
Yes. So your husband, we don't want him to get dementia.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
So the bacteria in our gums can go to our brain in 30 seconds. You know, that's why people rub drugs into their gums or do different things like that, because it goes straight to your brain. And
oh my word.
What we've learned is the bacteria in our mouths can go past there's like a brain barrier for most germs, but the bacteria in our mouth doesn't get fought off by that barrier. And so we want to help our brain health and our heart health. Those 2 things have a ton of ties to flossing. And so we really want to help people. Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. And Brynn, you don't know this, but my husband actually lost his mom to Alzheimer's and dementia a couple of years ago. So I'm like, this is really good for me to know and to teach him and all those things. So yeah, thank you for sharing that information. Holy cow.
Well, that I will send you guys flossers if you haven't gotten them yet, because what we've seen is people think flossing is hard, but our product was made to make it so easy that there's no reason that you don't. And I have one of my daughter's best friends, her mom's mom is just struggling right now with Alzheimer's, and it's just so painful to watch.
It is.
And I'm like, if there is anything we can do to prevent that, we should spend that 1 minute a day, because I see her and it's like her mom doesn't even remember her. And it's just so hard.
It's devastating, because it's almost like it's like you have to lose them 15 times minimum before you actually lose them to death. It is just one of the most cruel diseases that I've ever witnessed take place. So yeah, I'm so sorry for your friend and your family that y'all are
I'm so sorry for your husband, because like when I watch it, it just makes me be like, okay, we know that this starts happening when we're 40. So we need to start flossing when we're 40.
Yes. And I'm like, and honestly, when you think about it, out of the grand scheme of things, flossing takes you like a minute or 2 versus like when we tell you to work out, you're like, okay, well, that's at least 30 minutes. You know, if it's a minute, like we can do it, guys. We can do it.
Well, and it's like people don't realize if you need heart surgery, you have to go to your dentist and get a note saying you don't have active gum disease.
Wow, that's how serious it is.
Yeah, the endocarditis is like a thing that happens, and they know that it's much, much higher if you have active gum disease. And so my neighbor's a heart surgeon, and he was like, I'm so excited that you're getting people to floss. This is going to really help them.
Yes, for sure. My husband is also a cardiovascular nurse practitioner, so he probably already knew that, but I did not.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about, because I even was hearing that poor oral hygiene can also contribute to autoimmune issues, chronic illnesses, like you were saying. And like you said, it can even lead to brain function issues eventually. Is there anything else that you feel like you just wish people knew about oral health? It's not just about not having stinky breath. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's lots of cool things about oral health that I'd love to teach them. One is like bad breath comes from two places. It's either your gums or your tongue. So that on the back of our product is a tongue scraper too. So once you've disrupted all the bacteria in your gums, you want to scrape your tongue. So we checked off your bad breath by using our product, or you can use any other product. Then the other thing is teeth whitening. Why do your teeth get coffee stains, wine stains? It's because of plaque buildup on the teeth. It's not the teeth themselves that's stained, it's the plaque. So if you're disrupting that plaque, then you're good to go. So I always tell people, like, go get your teeth cleaned and then use our product and your teeth are going to look way whiter.
That's amazing. I love that.
And then something that people we talk about gut microbiome all the time. Your mouth has oral microbiome. And so I think this is where we think, oh, mouthwash is so good for us. We're going to kill all that bad bacteria, but we want to keep the good bacteria too. So you want to find mouthwash that doesn't have alcohol in it. So TheraBreath, Elemental, Carry-Free. Carry-Free is one of my favorites. That's the one I use. Or don't use mouthwash at all because you're disrupting the bacteria by scraping your tongue. So if you're caring about your gut microbiome, you should care about your mouth microbiome. And then I think what we know inflammation is bad, but when your gums are bleeding, that means you have gum inflammation. And so it's easy to be like, oh, I'm going to get a lymphatic massage or something like that. Well, you massage your gums by flossing them.
Yes. I'm like, okay, that's hilarious because my naturopath has me getting weekly lymphatic drainage massages right now. So I'm like, ooh, I love thinking about taking it to the next level with my teeth too.
Yeah. Like there is lymph nodes in your mouth. So you want to be like, I almost wanted to quote something, but we know that your lungs, your brain, your heart, if you are diabetic, your gums are going to be naturally way more inflamed. So you need to floss because you're more prone to cavities, you're more prone to gum disease. So if you have an autoimmune disease, your inflammation is higher. So our product or flossing or brushing we love electric toothbrushes. I'm like, if you do not have an electric toothbrush, go to Costco and buy a 2-pack for you and your husband. Like,
is there a type or anything that you should look for with the electric toothbrush? And I've also seen the blue light toothbrushes that are coming out now. Do you think that's doing anything, or is that just a gimmick?
I think it's a gimmick, but okay. I would love to be proved wrong.
Sure. You're like, bring on the science.
Okay, so I love Sonicare. Oral-B is what our hygienists recommend. Burst toothbrush is a very affordable, good toothbrush. Curaprox, if you're really sensitive to, like, some people think that a Sonicare is too intense. I love the Sonicare, but Curaprox is really good for people who are very sensitive to vibrations. What you need to do is the bristles matter a lot. So if your bristles are hard, medium or hard, those are way too hard. You need soft bristles.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I feel like I can't do a medium. It hurts way too bad. And sometimes I can be sensitive to a vibrating toothbrush too. So I'm like, I'm glad you gave that option. I've never heard of the one for more sensitive people.
Curaprox is a very good brand. It's pretty expensive. I always buy them at the dental trade shows so I can get a discount. But it's like if you're using it, you're investing in your health. Like a cavity is $341 per cavity. Like a toothbrush is going to be half that price. And then the Curaprox, I think, is like $125. It's a great toothbrush.
Okay, well, thanks for that tip. Now, what would you say? Well, So we've talked a lot about just some things that I had no clue about. You educated me on so much. But why do you think that modern dentistry ignores ancient secrets of what they knew back then? And how can we start to apply that today? So we were talking a little bit earlier about, you were saying some of the ancient cultures, like, Japanese people and stuff that use different things. So ancient cultures had incredible oral health without fluoride, without braces, no commercial toothpaste. So what were they doing differently, and how can we do that today?
So a lot of issues that we see in our mouth is airway issues. People don't realize that airway is so important. And so expanding your kids' mouths or palate is really important. We don't eat enough meat. Like, meat is supposed to make your hard things like carrots, different things. Our mouths have been getting narrower and narrower, which causes airway issues, breathing issues. When you have airway, you're open in the nighttime, which means there's more germs. Everything is interrelated. I think, though, it's hard. Sometimes we think, oh, back in the day, their teeth were great. So they had better airway, but they also had no sugar. We eat a lot of sugar. People have a lot of pop. People don't understand pH. So I'm going to explain really fast about that. So in your mouth, your saliva is so cool. It is meant to make your mouth always a 7. So we want our mouth to be at a 7.
Yeah.
When we eat or drink acidic things, it drops the pH. When the pH is under a 5, the acid that is being pooped out by your bacteria is immediately affecting the enamel. Whereas when it's a 7, it neutralizes that. So if you're drinking wine, have the cheese with it, because the cheese is alkaline. It's going to make your mouth a 7.
Shut up. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. I'm like, the wine and cheese. We have a wine and cheese party every year. So I'm like, we're doing it right. Check.
Yes. And then I see like people drinking their Monsters all day long or drinking their Gatorade. So the negative impact of the drinks is the pH is lower. So it's making your mouth go down to, like, Coke makes your mouth go to a 3. Crystal Light, which you think would be healthy for you, a healthier option, it puts your mouth at a 3 as well.
Yikes.
So if you drink that all in one sitting, that's totally fine. So have your pop, enjoy it, drink it at once. If you sip at it all day, then your saliva is never getting back to that 7. So it's staying at a 3 all day because you sipped on it every 30 minutes for the whole day long. So what we want to do is, if our mouth goes down, we want to let our saliva get it back to a 7 within 30 minutes, or have something like milk or cheese to make it go back to a 7 quickly. So I think people back in the day didn't eat sugar like we do. And sugar is what the bacteria is feeding off of. And then they didn't have things that made their pH get really low, and they had better airway. So those are 3 natural reasons why people had better teeth. But we also are seeing, like, our teeth are getting worse the older we get, and people didn't live as long.
Oh, that's such a good point. Yeah. Well, Brynn, one of the things that you mentioned was mouth breathing. And I have a whole episode that I'll link back to you guys with Campbell, who talked all about mouth taping and why breathing through your mouth is bad for you. So much good information there and things you can do to help your body or your kids' bodies not do it anymore. So I'll link back to that in the show notes. And then also, Brynn, one thing that I ask everybody as we're wrapping up an interview, and I'd love to hear your answer for this, is how do you reset?
This is a hard one. With 5 kids, it's hard to find time to reset. So what I've learned is like, you have to set aside time. I actually love my morning and afternoon routines. So I think establishing, what does your nighttime routine look like? But overall, I usually don't spend enough time resetting. So I do more like a day reset, and I love being outside. So I'll go on a walk or a hike or water ski or something like that. I love to reset by being outdoors.
Oh, I love that. I love that you're a water skier. I'm a wakeboarder, so that's so fun.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can do a flip on a wakeboard, but I'm...
Yeah, go girl. I can't do that, but that's amazing. And then, Brynn, if people were interested by this and want to learn more about you guys, the company, and or about, I feel like you probably have so much on your website that they could learn so much more about ways to keep their mouth healthy naturally. Tell them all the resources where they can find you guys and purchase your product.
Okay, so you can go to slateflosser.com or find us on Instagram at Slate Flosser. We love to teach people through our Instagram channel. And I think, yeah, that's probably the best way. If you want to follow me personally, my Instagram is Brynn Snyder, and you can find me on LinkedIn. But we like to educate people mostly through social media.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for educating us today. I know I learned a ton. I can't wait to tell Eric why he needs to start flossing, number one. And then I also took away from this that not to use mouthwash, which my naturopath had actually gotten me to give up my Listerine. And now I do use a more natural one that I really like. And also you reminded me to get back out my tongue scraper, or actually I'm not going to have to because I'm going to have the Slate Flosser.
Yes.
And so then to make sure that I'm remembering that Slate Flosser, it literally like does it for you, y'all. So if you could get that in your kids' hands and start their dental health out so strong from a young age, think about how that could transform everything going forward. So this was super cool, Brynn. Thank you so much for being here today. And Girl Gang, I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you learned just as much as I did, and I will see you next Tuesday. Friend, what if I told you that teaching your kids scripture could be easy, fun, and actually stick? My free weekly Bible memory plan for kids gives you one short, powerful verse each week, designed to fit into your crazy busy life. With 4 kid-friendly verses a month and simple ways to weave them into your daily routine, you'll be planting God's word in their hearts without it feeling like homework. Want in? Grab it now at healthybyheatherbrown.com/freebies with an S and start building a faith-filled family today. All right, y'all. Eric is back on the Marriage Corner, and I'm really pumped about the topic that he brought for us today. So, Eric, why don't you tell them just a little bit about what you were thinking to tell them about today?
Yeah. So one of the things that we've talked about in our family here recently is just trying to be more intentional with our discussions with the boys. I think sometimes, you can get a little complacent with your day to day. And a lot of times there's things that, I don't want to just assume that our boys are learning or that they understand about the principles of our family and things of that nature. And while I know some of these, we try and keep these conversations semi-serious, I know they'll probably only really take hold of a little bit of the information. I still think it's important for a lot of these principles to be said and to just talk about. So maybe Heather, you can talk a little bit about kind of what the setup is and like how we do it on each week and things of that nature.
Sure. I do feel like I have to give the caveat that Eric says we try to keep him semi-serious, but keep in mind at points Finn's like rolling around on the floor and Leighton might be like staring at Finn and egging him on. So while we do try to keep it serious, they're still kids. So I don't want you to think that we have this like picture perfect family moment always happening. But anyway, also, is it okay to say this on air? Finn does not like to wear underwear. So half the time Leighton's like, Finn, your booty crack's hanging out. And they're like going back and forth amongst the two of themselves.
Yeah, so that's definitely true. Sometimes we have to refocus.
Yes, but you did ask me to set the scene. Sorry. Sure. So, okay. So what we do is we go into a separate area than our living room where the TV is, which I think really helps. Eric, that was your idea.
Well, to be one, it's kind of this awkward area and it's off of our kitchen and it's where our gas fireplace is, but it's kind of just almost a little cutout. And when we bought the house, we we're like, what can we do with this area? Thought maybe a little bit of a library, and we've kind of made it in just a little bit of a sitting room. We have I think we have 3 chairs in there. We have a bar cart and then the fireplace and things of that nature. And sometimes you and I will like to sit in those chairs and just talk or read, especially in the winter when it's cold, put a fire in the fireplace and do that. And it's, it looks out over the trees and the windows and everything like that. So it's a nice setting, but I feel like we don't use that area a lot. But like you were saying, it's kind of separate from where our living room is. So we decided like, hey, let's have these discussions over in this area. This will be a good area. And I was trying to think of a creative, basically brand for these conversations I wanted to have with our family. And I was like, trying to think of different things. And, it's where the fireplace is. So I was thinking, I do like history. So I was like, oh, you know what? We're going to call these the Brown family fireside chats. And if y'all are unfamiliar with the fireside chats were discussions that FDR had during World War II, he would have these weekly addresses over the radio, kind of giving updates on where the U.S. stood as far as the war was concerned, the economy, and basically just keeping the citizens up to date. So I was like, you know what? We're going to call these are our Brown family fireside chats.
Yes, and I do love that. And Eric, this was a new piece of history for me. Didn't you tell us, though, you were like, but don't judge it based on FDR, because apparently he was one of the most disliked presidents in American history, right?
Well, that's up for debate. So it's just like anything with history. You know, he was very big on a lot of government spending, things of that nature. There may have been some constitutional issues, but that's neither here nor there.
You're like, back to the fireside chats in the Brown household.
Anyways, I'm not even gonna get into that. But so anyways, you know, we're trying to keep these discussions relatively short, you know, even about 10 to 20 minutes. And a lot of times I'll just write down things on my phone or topics that I would like to discuss. And I do want to say this, you know, I'm a big believer in leading by example, and kids can definitely glean and take a lot of your actions and thoughts through, you know, obviously your example, but sometimes it's nice to be clear and spell it out for your kids. Sometimes they need it. I know men need that a lot. We just need you guys to tell us, you know, exactly what you want. What are your expectations? We do not know. So anyways, I'm like, I'm going to treat this the same way with the kids. Like, I'm going to tell them exactly what I want them to know. I'm going to ask Heather what her opinions are on these things. So I wrote down a bunch of family discussions.
I like that you just gave like a bonus marriage tip there. Please just tell the men what you want, women.
That's true. That's true. So now these are just like very freehand, just little topics that I want to discuss. I can tell you about, we've done 2 of them now, but some of them are, I'm reading these off. You boys are leaders in relationships. You set the boundaries. You lead the way. And then I want to talk to them about how your and my relationship works, and stress that all relationships are different, but we need to be grounded in certain principles. I want them to always look out for one another and take pride in our family and always protect each other. I want that to be a core principle. Another thing, I want to discuss death and lack of fear with them. And then, you know, kind of along the same lines, when you love someone so much, it's okay to be sad, because we have, and I know Heather's talked about that, we've had some death in our family over the past couple of years. And I want them to be able to cope with that and understand, you know, how we view death and things of that nature. Discuss humble confidence. And I wrote, it's not all about you. So I think that's a big thing, especially in today's society. Kind of along those same lines, life is not fair. Work for what you want, which Heather does a great example with that.
I was going to say, can I weigh in there? Eric asked me if I had any ideas to add to his notes of things that we would do on Sundays. And so I was like, one of the things that I feel like my dad instilled in me and my sister from a young age was he always said, the sooner you can figure out that life is not fair, the better off you will be. Because that is, as kids, you know, that's one of the first things they always say, well, that's not fair. And he would always say, and life is not fair. This is a good lesson for you girls to learn right now. And I mean, he was right. So I'm like, we got to teach the boys this too.
Can you say the S word on this podcast?
Which S word? Like poop?
Yeah.
Sure.
Boys, you're going to have to eat a lot of shit sandwiches. In your life, all right? So just get ready. I don't know if I will use that term in front of them, but you know what? It's true. And sometimes you just got to choke it down.
Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully you gave them enough heads up where if their kids were in the car, they were like, let's turn it down for a moment.
Yeah, exactly. So going back, focusing on grace, and this is actually the second one that we talked about in our fireside chats, focusing on grace. And basically it's okay not to be perfect. There's only one perfect person that's ever walked this earth. And it took me a long time to really understand that. And one thing that I've noticed in our boys, and I think they get this a little bit from me, and it is it's natural for a lot of people, but just, you know, self-doubt and not being confident in yourself in certain things. And I really want them to understand, like, hey, do not beat yourself up if you don't get this math problem right. If you don't play well in this game, you know, you're going to look back and these are so small things. No one is going to care about the math test you took in second grade. You know, it's just, I understand to them, it's, you know, here and now, and it's very hard to take a long long-term approach or long-term view, but I want them to be okay and just be confident in themselves and figure out where they need to find their confidence and find their identity. So continue to stress that. So like I said, like these are going to be ongoing conversations. We'll probably hit these points multiple times. I also said just being grateful and being thankful, talking about that.
Oh, can I, spoiler alert, Eric was referring to Jesus, in case that wasn't clear. There's only one person that's ever walked the earth that's been perfect. Yeah. It was Jesus. You probably figured that out, but just making sure, just clarifying.
Jeez. Yeah. But anyways, those are kind of the ones that I've written down over a period of time. So I'm looking forward to having these conversations with the boys. Oh, the first one that we did, the first fireside chat that we did was focused on basically just taking pride in our family and also just emphasizing how important exercise and physical activity is to our family. We're big believers in that. You know, obviously, if you listen to Heather, you know, she is huge into overall mind, body, spirit, fitness. And I want our boys to also, I want to ingrain habits in them at a young age to focus on physical fitness. And they are active with soccer and different sports, but even going above that, you know, we said, hey, me and mom, we get up early in the morning. We work out every day. You know, we want you guys to start doing these things. We actually did some very simple exercises with them and, you know, just lateral hops with cones. I want our boys to learn how to jump rope. I feel like all these kids nowadays don't know how to jump rope. So, you know, we have a jump rope down there and, you know, we'll start basic, you know, and things of that nature, but general coordination and just, you know, getting up, getting moving, doing lunges, doing push-ups, you know, things that aren't fun. But you know what? Just like you said before, life's not fair. Sometimes life's not fun. You're going to learn to do these basic things and you're going to be better for it. So
discipline. Yes.
I mean, just because other people aren't doing that doesn't mean your family doesn't. Like change the mold, do something different. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with these fireside chats. And so far, they've been fairly well received. Our kids are still relatively young. Who knows in 2 years if they'll actually listen to us? But, you know, at least we're starting that and we'll see where it goes.
Yes, I totally agree. And actually, Eric, as you were talking, I was thinking about how it would actually be a really fun episode. We should do this in the future where we write down things that we feel like are becoming a lost art in childhood, like jumping rope and
sawing wood,
knowing how to use a hammer and nails, all these things. So anyway, well, that was fun. We have loved doing the fireside chats. And just in case you and your family want to put into play some of the exercises, the things that we had the boys do that day that we were like, we want you guys to start practicing these. Eric will sometimes have Leighton or Finn go out and get 50 to 100 touches on the soccer ball, kicking it up against the side of the house or the garage doors. Yes, it's loud inside. Yes, it's annoying, but it's worth it. Like you said, the jumps laterally forward and back over a cone, 50, like where you're, what do you call it? Where you pick your knees up, but they're touching the soccer ball?
Toe taps.
We had them do push-ups, which bless it. I mean, kids, half the time it looks like they're humping the ground when they're trying to do a push-up, but that's where we're getting better.
Modify on the knees. You know,
yes.
Like yeah.
Push their hips forward. And then lunges, jump squats or froggers, you called them, which of course the boys like the term froggers. Mm-hmm. What other thing? Oh, we have them do a 30-second plank, forearm plank. And what else? I'm trying to think.
That's all I can think of right now.
Yeah. But we have decided if they do those in a rotation, like 2 or 3 rounds, that they can actually earn additional time on their switch that way, which I think was a really good idea by you. So anyway, okay. Is that about all you have for the fireside chats with the Browns?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks so much for tuning in. And please do us a favor and hit that follow button. Make sure you download this episode and share it with a friend or another family that you think would be fun to do the Fireside Chats inspiration with. Okay, have a great one. Bye. Okay, friend, that's a wrap on this week's episode. If you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure to screenshot this episode, share it to your stories, and tag @Healthy by Heather Brown so I can connect with you in my DMs. It truly brings me so much joy to see how these episodes impact you. Make sure to subscribe so we can see you back here next Tuesday for our weekly show. In case you don't know, your downloads, ratings, and reviews are the actual lifeblood of this podcast, and it helps spread the word to your friends and family. So please hit the download button on this episode and leave a 5-star rating if you super loved it. And if we're really BFFs, you'll spread the happy and text this podcast link to someone who needs to hear it today for some encouragement. Scroll down to the show notes on this episode to see any and all links mentioned, freebies to fuel your health goals, prayer-related episodes, and the 7-day free trial of my exclusive membership where I personally coach and cheer you on in whole health. While you're there, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront with healthy snacks, my favorite look for less workout outfits, and books and devotionals that challenge me in my faith. If you ever need to find my Amazon storefront, just Google Healthy by Heather Brown Amazon and it will come up. Have a great day, girl gang.